What's going on, beautiful people? Tim the Human here, aka the Vegan Prince. Right now I'm in beautiful Derbyshire by Cosington Reservoir. I just went for a dip. I wanted to swim to an island. It wasn't a very far swim, but I want to get into some wild swimming. Pav's just running a lap of the lake, the reservoir, and I was just little swim, little dip, letting my body reheat itself, not drying off, just letting the air dry. I think that's a good practice, and doing some breathing exercises. And I thought I'd share with you some of the things I learned from Wim, because obviously I did the interview with him, but that was more, I like to get into people's minds and their philosophies more with that type of stuff. But from actually being around him and his practices, if you're not familiar with them or you're not gone in online and looked at his courses, and I mean I've done that stuff as well, but it might be easier for you to get my personal opinions, what I can digest from what I learnt from him. So there's two real things. It's breathing is one of the main things, and the cold therapy. When it comes to the breathing, I only really started I got it a bit while I was there, and there was moments when I was we did some breathing with him, and it would be like 20 minutes of just laying on the grass, deep breathing, and I'd feel this real sort of pressure and high-pitched noise in my ears, and it's a sort of a clearing, a real cleansing of I don't know what that was. But I was at home yesterday, lay in bed at night, and I couldn't sleep, and so I started doing some deep breathing, really mindful breaths. And the difference is it's not hyperventilating. You can get, if you're doing shallow breaths, you'll feel like you're hyperventilating and you get in a brain rush. And if you do that, as he said, if you're doing it in shallow water, and some people want to practice it by themselves, you could pass out, and it can be dangerous if you're hyperventilating. There is a big difference. It's deep belly breathing, not just the belly going out, the sort of the rib cages coming in and up and in, and you do it in till you're full, till you can't take any more in, and then you breathe out until you're relaxed. You don't have to breathe all the way out, you just go out till you're relaxed and breathe in till you're full. And what that does is, and you do it over and over, and it's not just like 10 breaths, it's like 10-15 minutes straight, and it's easier to do when you lay down in a comfortable environment to begin with. You'll feel your muscles, you'll feel blood, oxygen rushing all around your body. Any tweaks and things you've got in your body, you'll start to feel all the oxygen go into that. He says this alkalizes the body, which, as we know from other things, alkalizing the body is how we get rid of all diseases and illnesses. He's helped people cure leukemia. He's done thousands, well, he's not done personally thousands, but he's done it with thousands of people and with medical studies, working with brain doctors and everything to prove this. This is science, and he's getting to get into universities now, that this breathing technique can help in millions of ailments, in personal injuries and things like leukemia, cancers, things like that, because it floods the body with, he said, 3 times more red blood cells, so you're getting more oxygen. It's interesting that I've got a book on rebirthing, and it talks, and this is maybe just crazy philosophy, but the fact that when we're born, we take that first gasp for breath on our own when we're not taking it from our mother, and we get a mini trauma from that moment of not being nourished. We're on our own at that point, and from that moment on, we breathe very shallow. And when we sleep, we breathe deeply. That's what snoring is essentially his breathing technique. But we're trying to deep breathe through the nasal passage, take it in like anyone that knows yoga, the deep roaring breath in the throat, the ocean breath. This is what we do when we sleep, and that's how we heal when we sleep. We're doing these deep breaths, belly breaths, opening everything up. We're getting the oxygen, and we're healing. And when we're conscious, when we're awake, maybe from the trauma when we're a kid, maybe just otherwise because we forget, because we're not mindful, because we don't think about it, we don't breathe deep enough, and so we're getting these shallow breaths, and it's just, we're functioning, we're getting by as a human, but we're not getting the deep flooding the body with all the oxygen we want to alkalize it, all the red blood cells getting it round. So that's what I learned with regards to the breathing. I do find it was hard for me to take that breathing, and then when I was in the ice tub, apply it and feel like I was able to breathe deeply and get the blood around. I couldn't. my body's just absorbing too many things at once. But when I am lying on my back on the ground, close my eyes, and I do slowly full breath in, breathe out till you relax, full breath in, and over and over and over time, I feel incredible circulation in my body, and I think it's really powerful tool. So that's the breathing. The cold therapy is, and I've done it from running after many runs in the mountains. I always found myself, when I did that, and I got it from Alex, my cousin, who does it as well. He's better than me at it, doing the ice baths. But if you do 10 minutes in that, it really helps. Not only does it flush out the lactic acid and it clears the muscles, which is one of the fundamental things of the lactic, it helps build new capillaries, arteries, veins within the muscles to provide blood supply, oxygen, life force to the muscles to survive. And I've got dodgy toenails that I've been working on for years to find the solution, and I'm slowly tweaking it and getting there. And Wim said, just put your feet in ice, just put your feet in an ice bath, because then when it's just your feet that's straining, that's getting cold, it needs to survive, the muscle needs to survive, it needs some warmth from within, it needs blood, it will not force itself, but it will grow blood cells, it will grow capillaries and things like that, arteries, veins within the foot, to get more blood supply circulation to the toes, to the toenails. If I just do that, if you do the whole body, when you do a full ice bath, there's so much for the body to think about. You can only do so much, so you can isolate areas, and that is why we ice injuries. For many reasons, it helps clear the lactic, but it helps encourage blood supply to that area because it needs to warm it up. And especially if you do air dry after, if you don't go, oh, I'm going to have a hot shower after this cold bath, or I'm going to dry myself off with a towel. Obviously in home you need to dry yourself off in a towel, but if you're out in nature and you can air dry afterwards, let your body restore itself to its natural temperature from within, from the core, then it's learning, it's growing. I heard a phrase recently called floppy fin syndrome, which is to do with the orcas in captivity in SeaWorld, and that they get floppy fin because they're just sat in a tank going round and round, and they're not able to, you know, go to the fullest. And that's what we get as humans, is we have these comforts around us, with beds, with pillows, with shoes, with sneakers, trainers, with sunglasses, with clothes, with hoodies, jackets, with warm baths, showers. There's so many things I'm starting to identify, and it gives us floppy fin syndrome. We have these comforts that are temporary, and it's a natural thing because it comes from our desire to want to survive, to need to survive. And we've got past surviving that we've managed to build all these comforts around us that we get so comfortable, and that actually gives us, it's a hindrance to us. We get bad from sitting on chairs, we get bad posture from sleeping in beds, it messes up. Sleeping with pillows, it messes up our spine, and wearing shoes, it messes up, you know, everything, knees, hips, our feet, our ankles. So that's one thing. From having the warm baths, we're not as hardened as we would have been when we would have had to have when we wash in the cold, and our body has to strengthen itself. When we were living in, we couldn't just put, oh, it's cold at home, I'm going to put the heating on, put a hoodie on. We didn't have those options, you know. Now we have them, it's good and it comforts us, but then we have weaker systems below that aren't as functional as they once were. But we can get it back. We can work on our posture. We can work on these things, you know. And it's crazy that it's something that we have to practice. And if you can certainly live in a more natural environment, it's easier to do because you can just jump in lakes and rivers. And living in a city, it's sort of an uphill struggle for me because you've got all these comforts around you. But there's something I'm working towards, and we can all work towards as well. So those are the two big takeaways: was the cold therapy and my interpretation of that, and the breathing, what I got from that. So you can take them away, take them as you want. Check out more Wim stuff. Wim Hof method, Inner Fire is his thing. I've got an app of that, and I hope to apply these, and I'll let you know how I grow with them. But I love you all. Peace out.